Today, we're going to talk about Amazon hijackers. What are they? How do we know if we've been hijacked? What do we do to prevent Amazon hijackers? And then lastly, if we are hijacked, what do we do? What is the best way to kind of get rid of them? All that covered as quickly and efficiently as possible in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. So I pulled up this example here of a product that has been hijacked, okay? So basically, an Amazon hijacker is someone, and it's usually one of these two instances, but it's basically someone who is unauthorized and selling under your existing listing. And you kind of know if you have a hijacker if you have this kind of, this down here. So if it says new and there's the number 2 or 3 or 4, basically 2 or more, that means there's a good chance that you've been hijacked, right? That means that you've been hijacked. If it just says 1, that just shows that it's your listing. When it has 2, that shows that there's 2 listings under the same ASIN, okay? So basically what happens is a hijacker will come in, basically sell a cheaper imitation version of your product under your ASIN, or they may have been someone who participated in a giveaway that you had for like 90% off or so, and they basically bought your inventory super cheap and are now selling under your listing. The latter, right, the one that I just referred to, the person who, or individual or company or whoever, right, the hijacker who purchased your product super cheap and then is selling under your listing, usually only sell one, right? For whatever reason, I found that these type of hijackers only sell like 1 unit. So which is in a way a good thing. It's good in the sense that you can easily get rid of them, right? They sell, once they sell that unit, they're done. They're off your listing. This has happened to me a few times. So there's that situation. The other more common situation is where there's a Chinese seller who looks at your listing and then sells a cheaper imitation version of your product, okay? So okay, we've established that they're selling under your listing. What does that kind of mean, or why is that bad? Like, what does that do to us, right? So the negative side, or why we hate hijackers, is because what they do is generally will price their product lower than ours, because again, they're producing a really cheap, crappy product, so it costs them nothing, and they're making their product super cheap, which occasionally will make us lose the buy box. Okay, so basically, Amazon awards buy box to sellers based on a variety of factors. One of them being price point. So if your hijacker has a lower price point, they actually kind of, Amazon gives them this, and then you don't have this option here on your listing. So then when someone goes and looks for your product, they go and buy your hijacker's product and not your product. They buy the crappy product, see that it's trash, and then come back to your listing and write a negative review. Okay? Sucks. How often does this happen, Sumner? Oh my gosh. This does not, I can't say it doesn't happen often. It really depends. It really depends on your product. And luckily, there are definitely ways to prevent, and I'm going to show you some very, very important, powerful ways to prevent hijackers, and the best way to kind of remove, and I haven't had any issue with removing hijackers once I've been hijacked. So I don't want you to worry, even if you do get hijacked with one of your products in the future, or if you don't. Either way, you're going to be fully prepared, and it's not something to freak out about, so do not. I did. The first time I got hijacked, I was freaking out, and there's no reason to, okay? So just follow the steps that I lay out, and you'll be fine. So that's what a hijacker is. That's why we hate them. That's what it kind of looks like is, we have 2 new sellers or more under our listing. So the best way to prevent hijackers, and I'll talk to you about how to actually get rid of them in case you do have any, is to become brand registered, okay? So what you want to do is trademark your brand or your product, your company. Trademark it. If you're selling in the United States, you need to make sure it's trademarked within the United States first. So apply for a trademark, go through the whole trademark process, which does cost some money and does take a few months. Once that is complete, make sure that and then what you'll do is take that trademark and come here literally to this link, and you'll sign in and begin the brand registry process. So you want to become brand registered with Amazon for 2 reasons. One, it's less likely that hijackers will choose your listing to hijack. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you do get hijacked, it's a much easier to get rid of hijackers, because think about it. Once you register your brand with Amazon, Amazon now sees you and gives you priority over all the other Amazon sellers that do not have brand registry. It shows that you're serious about what you're selling. And another great feature, and actually being brand registered unlocks a few features. One of the features I really like personally is what's called enhanced brand content. What this is one of the examples of this is you can have, I'll actually go back to this example here. I think we might be able to see it. So So remember, for our descriptions, it's like really simple, kind of ugly, just the kind of bold text. And or it's really, if you're not using HTML, it's not even bold. It's just a bunch of text, right? And it's not that attractive. Well, when we become brand registered, we can actually use enhanced brand content for our description and other areas of our seller or our selling account. So for example, this seller has some different images here, a lot more text, right? A lot of opportunities, a lot more opportunities as well. And this kind of stuff here, being brand registered and with enhanced brand content, can actually increase your conversion rate by 5% or more. Meaning you'll get 5% more sales every month, right? Or 5% of people who visit, who actually click and visit your listing will actually end up buying. So you're actually going to make more money by being brand registered. So you'll get a return on investment from doing it. It'll save you a ton of headache. It'll be easier for you to get rid of hijackers. It's great for a ton of reasons. So once you realize, I've said this before, but once you realize Amazon FBA is not a scam, when you do it correctly, it can be a phenomenal source of long-term income and even passive income. And once you realize that and start generating those first, 2 or 3 months worth of sales, reinvest. I highly recommend getting started as soon as possible, getting trademarked, and then becoming brand registered. This is hands down. I've talked to multiple top sellers. This is the best way to prevent and also get rid of hijackers, okay? And there's other benefits. So I want to make sure I call that out. Other ways to prevent hijackers in the meantime, while you're getting brand registered, are number one, differentiate your product. In terms of, and what I mean by differentiating is make sure your images are spectacular, your product is quality, right? For example, if you have a very generic product, which I do not teach, I do not recommend, but if you just basically copy the same product as another seller, and then a hijacker comes in selling pretty much the same looking thing, it's going to be a lot harder to get rid of that hijacker. But if you have your own logo and branding and packaging and your images are different and everything about your listing and specifically about your product are different, you have a lot higher likelihood of getting rid of hijackers, and I'll explain why in a second. That's number one. Number two, having a website is very, very powerful. Highly recommend. Even if it's a inexpensive one-page website, which you can easily do. You can make a beautiful one-page website that just focuses on one product. That's, like I said, super cheap, and that'll be very effective as well when kind of getting rid of and also preventing hijackers. Having social media accounts built for your different products or for your initial product, very powerful as well. Highly recommend. Again, it doesn't mean, now that I have an Instagram account, I won't have hijackers. Not at all. But I have found that it definitely helps, and I definitely believe it does. And it's good for other reasons as well, so there's no reason not to. But having social media accounts and a website and a professional email as well as having a differentiated physical product, all of that, I honestly believe helps reduce the likelihood of getting hijacked. I don't have actually nobody really does have any specific statistics on hijackers and who they choose. But I have found and definitely heard from some top sellers that having this and building this out will help prevent and deter hijackers, because they can see that you mean business, that you're legitimate, you care about your brand, you pay attention, you invested in your brand. They're a lot more likely to go with someone who doesn't really pay as much attention, doesn't really care as much, is just kind of winging it, not going through all the effort for their FBA business. That person, or that seller, I should say, and that product is more likely to get hijacked than yours. Again, this is my opinion, and that's why, right? But I honestly believe it. So that will definitely help prevent you in the meantime while you're getting brand registered. And lastly, let's just assume you get hijacked. No, step one, don't freak out. Step two, here's what you want to do. Click on the new to from, and then whatever your kind of price is. So go ahead and click on that. It'll either be 2, it could be 3 or 4, but it should just be 2. Hopefully it is just that. And it'll show you the 2 sellers of your listing, right? One of them is you, and the other one is your hijacker. So let's just pretend this is us, this is you, this is our hijacker. So what we're going to do is send them a cease and desist letter specifically for Amazon. So we'll go ahead and click on seller profile, click on contact this seller. Leave this checked, an item for sale, select subject, other question, and we're going to write them a message, okay? So luckily for you guys don't need to go out and hire a lawyer. You don't need to go search the internet for a cease and desist letter that works for Amazon. I've gone ahead and given you my word for word cease and desist letter that I've used successfully. Okay, people say cease and desist letters don't work. This has worked to remove 3 hijackers from my listings so far, so it definitely does work. But I will say it works some of the time. The other kind of half of the time, it doesn't work just because your hijacker doesn't care. They kind of know you're blowing smoke. But this definitely will help. It does not hurt at all. There's some sellers who are like against it, and I'm like, there's no way that this hurts. This only helps you. So I definitely hope you find it helpful. It has helped me. It's helped other sellers, and it will help you in this situation. Okay, so you can go ahead and kind of read this for yourself, but I've just used some language that basically says we've noticed that you are selling. You're selling unauthorized under our listing with this, with this specific ASIN. Here's like the link. We kindly request that you remove your listing as soon as possible, and we will follow up. And if you don't, we'll move forward with Amazon, which you will do. Okay, so you're not lying. Like, this is all completely honest. You you mean business. You want them off your listing, and you're going to get them off your listing. So you can go ahead and kind of read through this. I've also gone ahead and translated, and I've actually found more success when I did this. I've gone ahead and translated my English kind of text into simplified Chinese. Since a lot of these hijackers are Chinese sellers, I found that this actually helps more. Again, this is probably, I usually use Google Translate. This is probably like childish Chinese. However, it still gets the point across, and they definitely get the point. They definitely know that they've been kind of flagged. And especially if you send this as soon as you know your listing's been hijacked, they're a lot less likely to kind of continue on with it. They may be like, oh crap, we're not going to mess with this seller. So this definitely works. Send this out as soon as possible. Just edit in your own information here. Leave this Chinese down here the same, or you can edit it if you want, but leave that the same. Go ahead and copy all of this. You'll write a message, paste it, and then send it to them. And you may want to follow up one more time additionally in case their listing is still active, that they're still listed under your ASIN. You may want to send one more message, but don't send 3, 4, 5 or more messages. Just send 1 or 2. And at the same time that you send the cease and desist letter, and again, this may very well be enough to get rid of them. This, like I said, this has literally worked for me, so it can absolutely work for you. However, in some cases, the hijacker does not care. They know you're blowing smoke. So what you can do in that case, and I recommend doing this at the same time, order one of their products, okay? And then if you don't already have one of your units at your location, like if it's your office, your warehouse, your apartment, your home, wherever you are, if you don't already have one of your own products, make sure that you can either create a removal order or just order. Just make sure you have one of your units with you, and order one of your hijackers units. It'll take some time to come in usually, and then again, at this point, like I mentioned before, there are certain sellers that will basically buy your product for like 90% off if you're doing a promotional giveaway, and then they'll resell that unit on your listing and obviously make profit from it. But they usually, I found this has happened with me twice. I found that they when I've started, that's part of the reason I'm starting to move away from giveaways. But that's exactly what happened with a couple. It was one product, but they had 2. And I basically ordered one of their product, and they only had 1 left in stock, and I saw that, so I bought both up, and then they were gone. Then they just boom, they disappeared. And I looked at their storefront, and it looks like they were doing that with like 20 other sellers. So that's where I knew that they were they were buying giveaways and then selling them on underneath the ASIN. Okay, so anyway, that could actually solve your problems. Again, so the cease and desist letter, if that doesn't work, order one of their products. If that doesn't work, then we'll continue to proceed. But most likely one of those 2 will act, well, not most likely, but there's a high likelihood that one of those 2 will already work for you and get rid of the hijacker, which is great. But if not, and a decent amount of time it doesn't, then we'll continue on with step 3. So order one of their products, okay? And then you have one of your products. You're going to take photos side by side showing the difference at multiple angles, okay? And that's key, of your product versus theirs, showing that it is not the same ASIN. It's not the same product because it isn't. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that photo and message seller support right through your Seller Central. You're going to open a case with seller support and basically tell them what happened. You have a hijacker, an unauthorized seller under your listing who has hijacked your listing. You have taken photos, multiple photos at different angles side by side, showing that this is not in fact the same product of the same ASIN that you're selling. And most likely, and again, this will work. It'll just take some time. Sometimes it's more immediate than others. Within 48 hours, Amazon takes care of it. Boom, the hijacker's gone. Sometimes it does take longer. So it really, really depends. But as your persistence will always outweigh the hijacker, right? As long as you're more persistent than the hijacker, you will win. It may seem like it sucks. It may seem like it's taking forever, and it does. To an extent, it definitely does suck. Again, I've gone through this a few times. So it's not fun. But that's why it's so important to get brand registered. And then in the meantime, you know how to prevent. And then in case all those prevention techniques that I mentioned don't work, you do this exact step. Open the case with Amazon and just keep messaging until the hijacker is removed, and you will win. You will get rid of the hijacker. But again, that's why it's so important to become brand registered. So this is something that you should not freak out about. I totally did. I thought I was like done for, which is ridiculous. I actually went 2 weeks I had my hijacker for 2 weeks. So a relatively long period of time. Did kind of affect my sales rank, but we were able to get back up. And establish our sales velocity, our page rank, all that kind of stuff. So you'll absolutely, if it happens to you, and hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, if you follow these steps step by step, you're in a much better place than I was, and I was able to get rid of them. So I'm very confident that you'll be able to get rid of them. Your persistence will outweigh theirs, and you will win. So again, wish you the very best. I hope this doesn't happen, but if it does, now you are 100% fully prepared, more than most FBA sellers, more than I was when I started. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or if you have been hijacked, let me know, and I will try to help you to the best of my ability by commenting in the comments below and joining our Facebook group. And you can comment in there and kind of post in there. There's a huge, a growing community, I should say, of sellers, and myself included, ready to help you in any way that we can. And if you liked the video, which I hope you did, I honestly did my best to share everything, all my experience and research, and what's worked and what hasn't worked. So if you like this video, let me know by giving me a thumbs up below and hitting the subscribe button, because I have a lot of great videos currently on my channel and a lot more coming to you very soon. And I honestly want to make sure you don't miss out. So as always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you don't get hijacked, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.